Hi, I'm Prescott City Councilman Steve Sischka. My pal Bucky and I would like to welcome you to the Prescott Today show. I'm here on the historic Courthouse Plaza in the heart of beautiful downtown Prescott, Arizona, USA, where we'll be talking about some of the premier events this community enjoys during the holidays and how everybody's hometown became Arizona's Christmas city. I'm joined by Don Prince, Tourism Director for the City of Prescott, Dave Maurer, CEO of the Prescott Chamber of Commerce, Kendall Jaspers, President of the Prescott Downtown Partnership, Gary Edelbrock, representing Friends of Jersey Lily, and their fundraising efforts to support the annual courthouse lighting, and last but not least, Prescott native Kathy Sischka, chairwoman of the Courthouse Lighting Committee back in 1989, when Prescott became Arizona's Christmas city. Now, some of the signature holiday events we enjoy each year are only made possible through the cooperation shown by all of these folks in the public and private sectors. It's a great example of community partnerships in action, of organizations and volunteers working together to enhance both the local economy and the quality of life in our beloved town. So let me start with you, Don. As Tourism Director for the City of Prescott, can you tell us why Prescott is known as Arizona's Christmas City? And how and when did that come about?
Well, I think Prescott has long been recognized as a community that's particularly supportive of the Christmas holidays and known for our many events in and around Christmas. And that finally was recognized at the state level by then Governor Rose Mofford in 1989 when she designated Prescott to be officially Arizona's Christmas city.
Okay, well, thank you. You know, I'd like to go to Kathy because as a Prescott native, I'm sure that, you know, the courthouse was probably started out being lit in the early 1950s.
Early 50s, yeah.
So I'm sure you were maybe 4 or 5 when this all started to happen, but what do you remember about the event, if anything?
You know, in those early days, I don't remember a whole lot about it because before I started school, I was out at the ranch, and I would suspect that maybe once school was out, I was 50 miles out of town. So until I got into junior high and high school, I don't remember much. But in those days, we used to sing like the children do now, but everybody participated in those days. I mean, if you were in any kind of a choir in high school, you were on the courthouse steps, and so it was kind of a nice thing to be able to do in those days.
What about you, Kendall? You've been around for a long, long time. What do you remember?
Well, actually, I have one of the same memories. Being one of the kids who got to go up on the steps and sing was a huge deal. It was also kind of fun to watch the traffic jam when the parents came to pick all the kids up because it was snowing or raining. So, but I think that always made it kind of kicked off the season. It kind of made you get focused on Christmas, and a kid doesn't need much of that. I stayed focused all my life now.
No, you sure don't need something to focus with on Christmas. So, how important are Christmas and other holiday events to the tourism industry in the city of Prescott, Don?
Well, we're very much an event-driven city in terms of our tourism base, and we have events all year round, especially every summer weekends, pretty much April through October. Then we have a bit of a lull in November, and then we pick back up again with a whole series of events around the Christmas holidays, and that's important for us because otherwise, Christmas the hotels would probably be sitting at 40% or less occupancy, and it really helps drive that midweek business, and it's certainly over Akron Night, Christmas lighting, and some of the other major events, the parades. Hotel occupancy jumps up to over 90%. So it's important. But the thing to realize about courthouse lighting is it's not just the ceremony where we turn on the lights. It's an attraction that goes on for 6 weeks. And so you have people, local people, you have by-county residents, people coming up from Phoenix and Tucson, as well as California and other areas, specifically to see those lights. And so it's a draw, and it really helps us out.
So do you have any handle on what the monetary results for Prescott are?
That would be pretty hard to break out, but overall, tourism is a $340 million economic impact to our community. So if you took out even 10% of that and attributed it to Christmas-related events, that's significant.
So all of you can answer this. What about, how does this affect quality of life?
It's a family kind of event, and families come together. You get people from little kids to grandparents who come.
I
Isn't
think
that
it's the
amazing?
tradition of it all. You know, it's been going on for so long, and so many people remember, and generations of families come together to come down and see the courthouse lighting. And, in our family, you know, I participated as a singer, and then the kids did. And you know, if my grandkids were here, they'd probably be doing the same thing. And I know there are other families that are 4 and 5 generations on those steps.
So this event is absolutely huge right now. I'd like to ask you, what kind of participation, when you were looking down on the people participating in the courthouse lighting when you were a kid singing, what was the crowd like?
You know, the crowd was big in those days, but it paled in comparison to what I remember in the late 80s when I was standing on the top of the steps and we had just changed everything, and we had the TV cameras here, and we were now the Christmas city. And when you look out and there's people from Montezuma to Cortez and all the way back to Gurley, it's pretty amazing.
Wow. Anybody else have any memories of Prescott in the early days? Kendall, what about
Well,
you?
I think it used to be a little more weather sensitive. I think, but yeah, well, you know what? It was probably next to the rodeo parade, the biggest crowd you saw in town the whole time.
Yeah.
And my feeling of it has always been that it really goes along to help build and maintain our sense of community here in Prescott. You know, we feel like we're a special place. We feel like we pull together, that we and I think the courthouse lighting is something that really contributes to that.
So Dave, you were CEO of the Flagstaff Chamber of Commerce before you came here. What did the folks in Flagstaff think of the big celebration down here?
You know, I heard people talk about it, but not that much. Flagstaff kind of does its own thing so many times. But I learned about it through friends in Flagstaff, and then when I came down here, obviously it was going on. The very first one that I attended as a tourist, so to speak, having nothing to do with the preparations in 2004. I never would have believed in the next year that I would be working with Kendall and others actually doing the courthouse lighting.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Well, so probably the best known of all the Christmas City events is the courthouse lighting ceremony. How does the city of Prescott support not only the courthouse lighting, but the events that go around the Christmas season here in Prescott?
Well, the courthouse lighting ceremony, I think that's recognized by everybody in the city as being a uniquely Prescott event and an important event. And as I referenced a little while ago, you know, it goes on for 6 weeks. Not very many events that I can think of go on every day for 6 weeks. And in recognition of that fact, we do dedicate out of the bed tax fund $30,000 to help support this particular event. And that's the cash contribution. Over and above that, obviously, there are other things such as, you know, traffic control and law enforcement and emergency medical services, trash, and, you know, all the other things that take place behind the scenes when you've got that many people downtown in such a compact area.
So tell us about our community partnership with Jersey Lily.
Well, I don't know if I'd be the best one to talk about that. Maybe it
Gary,
would be,
why don't you do that?
Well, we started out with a group of 3, which is Mr. and Mrs. Meredith and myself, and it's grown to a committee now of about 10 folks. And they gather things, we solicit donations. We started out the first year and we raised $1,350+ and by the 3rd year we'd gotten it up to over 6,000, and then 10,000, 17,000, and last year it was 32,500.
Last year, you challenged the city of Prescott that you were going to beat them, right?
Well, actually, it was Mayor Marlon Kirkendall who challenged us, and he said, "You are going to beat the city." And I said, Well, I'm comfortable if we get $1 more than last year. And Tommy said, "We'll do it, Mayor."
So that was $30,000 by the city of Prescott done, and $32,000 by Friends of Jersey Lily. That's quite an accomplishment, I'd say. And, you know, Kathy, I'd like to get back to you. We're talking about a lot of money going into this whole situation, and you were back there when Prescott Junior Women's Club was deeply involved in decorating this gazebo back in the early 80s. And you kind of morphed into the chairwoman of the Courthouse Lighting Committee for the Chamber of Commerce in 1989. Tell us what happened with the decorations and the courthouse that year.
Well, when I was doing it with Prescott Junior Women and when the business and professional women did it, we had all of the lighting fixtures in the basement of a building somewhere around downtown. The last one I remember was Solt's over where Capitol Marketplace is now, but we carried everything across, we tested everything. Some of what's on there now was there then, and it's just been refurbished year after year. But in the late 80s, the fire marshal decided to come check us out and said, "You're not doing this." And actually, it was the state fire marshal came up and he said, "You can't put these fixtures on the building anymore." So we had to totally rewire, and we put on a lot of what's permanently on the building now.
So tell us about the candles.
Okay, well, we had to raise $50,000 to get that job done, and I'll tell you, back then that was a lot of money. So thankfully, some of the bigger businesses came together and helped us to do that. Phelps Dodge or Cypress Baghdad, I'm not sure which it was in those days, but anyway, they did. And the candles, I think they just came of what are we going to put on the Whiskey Row side of the courthouse, because it was pretty bare and we needed something, and we were talking about candles. And I remember Perry Wywick and I and maybe Mary Baker were sitting around a table going, and he was trying to come up with something complicated, and I said, "I'm not an artist, but let's just draw the stick figure and put a flame on it and see what it works." And so he went with that and decided to put neon on them, and I think they're beautiful, and they've been there for a long time. So
Yeah, the neon is just incredible. What an idea.
Yeah. Well, when he said neon, we went, neon? I don't know. But it was a great idea.
So it's come a long way, but all that is still on there, right?
That's right. And the same year we built the trees that are on the Cortez side of the building. And Perry put them together, and then we had to light them and put on the garland and all that.
Remember stringing lights on those things?
Oh, yeah. Night after night. But Kendall knows about that. They're still doing some of that.
Well, remember Gerald Brown, though, used to design a lot of the things and build them himself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was a playground for Gerald for a long time.
Oh, it was. It
Yeah.
was his. He was very proud of that. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but his name remains a part of our lore.
That is
Yes.
exactly right. So Dave and Don, tell us about the importance of community partnerships.
I think this is the perfect example of a partnership that works. When Prescott Downtown Partnership came to the Chamber back in 2005 and said, "Can we do this together?" we said yes. And it's worked out to be a great partnership, no pun intended. But
Most of the time.
most of the time, we like to say I help raise the money, he spends the money. But it works, and it puts his talent, so to speak, on display out here in the courtyard, and I do the paperwork.
So Don, what about you?
Well, we're no longer in a situation, if we ever were, where the city can do everything by itself. That's absolutely impossible. Not only from a financial perspective, but one of the things that makes Prescott very special and enables us to put on the kind of events we do is our people, and the tremendous cadre of volunteers that we get from all walks of life that step up and volunteer to make things happen. Whether it's the parades, whether it's courthouse lighting, whatever it may be, the 4th of July, all of those events, all are made possible by the contributions of our citizens, and that's what makes it special. That's what makes it Prescott.
Stephen, that's what's true about our community year-round. We all participate with each other.
Yes.
We do events together. It just always seems to work out.
We're in this together, aren't we?
And we
Absolutely.
last year, we had an event that had never taken place after the lighting ceremony, and Jen and Tom Ashcroft got married. And Tom is the father of one of our fallen 19.
Wow.
And Jen is the survivor of 9/11. She was in New York the day it happened.
So Kendall, you used to own Kendall's Famous Burgers and Ice Cream over here on Cortez.
That's the rumor, yeah.
Yes, that is the rumor. And
I remember.
they were doggone good burgers and ice cream also. And I guess my question is, as a merchant downtown, what did you think of the holiday events and the courthouse lighting in particular?
Well, the courthouse lighting in particular was all the years that I ran that restaurant, I never saw it.
Yeah, you were way too busy, weren't
I
you?
was way too busy. Parades, never saw them either. But I do enjoy. One of my favorite things is to do here is my wife and I come out Christmas Eve and we drive around, and she loves the lights, and to see all the people that are out here at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I'll bet there's hundreds of people out here enjoying that and making that part of their Christmas tradition, and it's heartwarming. But it used to be a big financial impact, but to see the way people enjoy it, makes the work worthwhile.
Isn't that incredible? Well, Dave, I have a question for you. You oversee the annual Christmas parade and courthouse lighting, right? When does the Christmas season actually start in Prescott?
It never ends.
July.
No, we actually we've done it a little bit better. We start billing people, so to speak, for their continuing donations in April. So the better part of the year, we're working at least part of the week on Christmas.
Wow. So,
The kickoff to the
what is the kickoff?
Yeah, the kickoff to the Christmas season is the Holiday Light Parade,
Okay.
and that happens the Saturday after Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and that's the first time that we really light it up for the city.
And is there anything going on after the Holiday Light Parade here in the city? Or
Oh,
is it-
absolutely. We have a bonfire.
Where's the
The
bonfire?
bonfire is at Mile High Middle School, and it starts right after the parade, and that's a new event. This will be our third year,
Wow.
and it's starting to grow. I
Now,
mean, we're having a good time with it.
Tell
It's
me
fun.
something. What are reindeer races?
Reindeer races are a result of ex-councilman Chris Kuknio's twisted imagination. But they actually have a history on the courthouse. There used to be a set of silhouette-type reindeer that were put out on the plaza every year. It would be a ground display. It was the Gerald Brownlow time.
Uh-huh.
And they were kind of in a row, and they had them on a timer to where they came on and one at a time.
Okay.
Lights.
And the fun thing to do was
So in sequence.
yeah,
Yes.
so the kids would race them. They try to see if they could catch up with them. So that's where we renewed that tradition, and Chris still actually helps with it.
So that's become a tradition at the bonfire.
Well, we're working on it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, electric light parade starts, or the light parade starts the Christmas season on the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So, when is the second parade that we have going on here in the Prescott?
That would be
area?
Dave's.
First Saturday in December,
Okay.
same day as the courthouse lighting.
And that is from what, 1 to 3? Or
Yeah, the parade's
thereabouts?
usually it's thereabouts. It starts
Okay.
at 1 o'clock. We
And
usually have 100 entries.
100 entries. So this is no small event.
This is serious.
Now people have said it's the third largest parade in the state, behind the rodeo parade and Fiesta Bowl.
You know, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago that it actually snowed as the parade was coming to an end. And I'll never forget, coming down Whiskey Road here was the Prescott High Band, and there was about this much snow on the ground. And these poor kids, I mean, it was snowing to beat the band, and they definitely did beat the Prescott High Band. I mean, they were
They were having fun.
they were having a great time, yeah.
Yeah.
So what time does the courthouse lighting actually start?
The ceremony's at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Lasts about 20 minutes.
That's all. Boy, it seems like it just goes on forever. Of course it does. It goes on till mid-January.
Martin Luther King Day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to head up to Jersey Lily, and we're going to talk about the Friends of Jersey Lily and how they participate in the funding of the courthouse lighting. And we're also going to talk to the president of the Prescott Downtown Partnership, Kendall Jaspers. We're here for the fun part of the program. Jersey Lily Saloon, headquarters for the fundraising for the courthouse lighting. And I've got Tommy Meredith here. Tommy's one of the owners of Jersey Lily. And I've got Kendall Jaspers, and I've got Dave Maurer. So let's continue on with the program. And the first thing I'd like to do is welcome to Tommy. And Tommy, tell us about your involvement in this fundraising effort.
Well, it starts out with a little bit of humor, actually. It was stated in the first segment, we being designated as the Christmas city. And my opinion was that we weren't up to standard. And I was a little bit concerned about the lack of money being spent by the city, which is $30,000 at that time. This is 9 years ago when we first started this event, raising the money. And I went over to the council meeting one time to complain. Steve can appreciate that, being a councilman today. And I was saying that they should put up more money, to get more lights and more displays and so forth. So I think Bob Lucius was one of the councilmen at that time. He's standing there with his arms folded. He looked over to me and said, "Tell me what," after turning us down, of course, as far as the amount of money.
That sounds like Bob.
"Tommy, why don't you do something about it?" And I kind of went, to myself. And I said, all right, maybe I will. So I walked over here to the crew and said, all right, guys, we're going to do a fundraiser for the lighting. And of course, we didn't know what we were doing or how we were going to start or any of the details and what ended up being. So we started that first year, and like Gary said initially, I think we did $1,400 or something the first year. And last year, it was said before we came up with $32,000. But some of the stories, one story it's kind of fun, is when we first got involved, I was watching closely the trees and how many they were lighting, and Dave was trying to use up the budget the best he could with the amount of trees, with the amount of money we had. So I went out there and one day, and Gerald Brownlow and Chris from the cafe over here, and Bucky's was out there with AB sign. I think that was about the whole committee. And I walked over to Gerald and I said, "Gerald, we got to get more trees lit." I said, "Is there any more lights?" He said, "Well, there's some underneath the stairway over there." And he's standing there with two of the men in wearing suits, that were working via the courthouse. And I turned to them and I said, "Are you guys busy?" And they went, "Heck, we got all day." And so we walked over to the stairway and dragged out all the lights that were left. And of course, plugging them in was hard because there was only so many, receptacles and so forth. So we got some more trees wrapped, and then I went down. Then they didn't have any timers. Gerald says, "We got lights, we don't have any timers." And I said, "Well, we'll work that out." So then I was going down about 6 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock, plugging them in every night. And then when we had customers would come in, and they just determined that they ought to be the guys that plug in the lights. So they were plugging them in. We'd look over the side and cheer them as they were plugging the lights, and they'd come on up for a cocktail, So that and one other little story, I was complaining to Kendall and Dave about the lack of lights. And we had this area right across from the Jersey Lily balcony, and there was no lights out there. And we kept complaining, and a year or two went by, and they didn't do anything about it, and they had their map all done, and it was like predetermined. So I know Elizabeth Ruffner was talking about to me one time and described that situation as Tommy's black hole or the black forest. And even both times you used that term. And I finally got with the boys here and got them to wrap some more trees, and the money started coming in, and here we are 9 years later, but there's a couple of
That's incredible. You know, I'm going to talk to Dave and Kendall for just a second, but then I want to ask you about your event on November the 3rd.
Sure.
Okay? So Dave, on the way over to Jersey Lily here, you were talking to me about, oh, don't forget, the city puts in 30 and Jersey Lily did 32,000 last year, but it's in the 90,000s that we actually end up to light the courthouse, right? So tell us about that.
Well, there's another whole section of the private sector that now puts in close to $30,000. So it's about a $90,000 event. And the thing I always remind people, some people say, well, 90,000, isn't that rather high for what you get? I always have to remind people that our little fund, so to speak, also takes care of all the maintenance on the street lights. Last year, for the first time, we lit the Veterans Park out at Sheldon and Marina. So there's more than just the downtown courthouse lighting that comes out of this money, but it keeps growing each year.
So this 90-some-odd thousand doesn't support everything that goes on in the Prescott area, but it does support the courthouse lighting. And how many trees did you light last year?
Just over 100.
And so are you going to do another one every year, or are we pretty much maxed, or what's the deal?
I think we're pretty much maxed. There's still trees out there without lights.
Yeah.
But 100 goes a long way. If you think back, it was the city's centennial 4 years ago, where we went from about 33 trees to 100 trees, and we've stayed at that ever since.
So when do they start wrapping the trees?
August, September.
Yeah, this year we started the first part of September. Yeah, and that goes on right up until it goes up until the practice day that we have the Tuesday before the lighting.
Wow, and you know, to a majority of Prescottonians, they just see that night and the lights go on and everybody goes, awesome. But there's a lot of work that goes into this, huh?
Well, not only a lot of work, but a lot of people helping out. We have a great system of volunteers. We have some utility companies that help us out. APS, Unisource, and Cable One all help put lights up. Yavapai County is very generous with their time and effort to help us keep those lit. The city of Prescott without them, we wouldn't have the lights on the streets attached to the light poles. So we have 2 contractors. A&B Signs, a local one, and then Christmas Light Decorators out of Mesa, who's our largest contractor. They do most of the tree wrapping. That's the most tedious part.
Oh, that's got to be tedious.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine how they would do that.
Well, you know, the cool part about it is they like coming here early in the year because they can wrap some trees when it's only 90 instead of 110 in the valley. So they like to work down here when, early, and then they'll take kind of a break, and then later it's they get a little cold, but
Gosh,
it's funny.
110, that's cool for down there. I thought it was 190 sometimes.
Well, it feels like it sometimes next to here. But it's a lot of it's timing. There's a lot of scheduling. It is, the Yavapai County courthouse is a working building. They have courts.
Yes.
It is by statute what days they need to be open. There's no, we'll take the afternoon off, or we'll let them work on this Friday or something like that. It's either nights or weekends when court's not in session. It's kind of tricky. And then just to make it fun, and I don't remember if you were on council when this started or not, we ended up with the Veterans Parade on the one day a year we used to actually put the lights on the building. So Marlon did that. Marlon Kirkendall moved that from the VA to downtown. And so now we're trying to move lifts and cranes and everything else while that's going on. It's exciting.
So does the whole courthouse, the courthouse itself, not looking at the trees, but the courthouse itself, how long does it take to put up?
1 day.
1 day?
Yeah, it takes
Wow.
a lot of people and a lot of equipment, but the on the building is 1 day.
Oh my gosh.
We do it all on Veterans Day because there is no court that day.
And Tommy, is there still a black hole across from you?
No, they by golly plugged the hole, and I noticed today I was checking them out. I can see that they.
Yeah.
Well, now I like to defend us a little bit here.
No defense.
Some of that was because there was we had to rearrange some electricity in order to do that. It wasn't just wave your wand and do different trees. It was
Alakazam.
yeah. So, but we got it done.
Thank the county for some of their help there.
Yeah, the county helped us out, and we worked it out. So, we were real tired of Tommy. Or at least I was real tired of Tommy barking at me every year about it too.
So that means it worked.
Yeah.
Well, it's not fun when Tommy barks at you, let me tell you, from the council side.
Well, that takes a really long time.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Tommy about his fundraiser on November the 3rd, and then we're going to get back and talk about some of the other events that are going on during the Christmas season. So Tommy, tell us about that one night a year where you just have a huge event here at Jersey Lily.
You bet. Actually, it takes about 3 months. You were talking about starting in April, but it's the kickoff party, as we call it, is November 3rd, 5 to 8 p.m. We have food, and we have an auction, a live auction, and a silent auction.
And who's the auctioneer?
As long as my voice holds out, I'll be there, but it's getting pretty weak, I'll tell you. But the thing that really makes this happen is the donations from our suppliers, from our patrons, from the stores on the square and elsewhere to make it happen. We have the bulbs on the back bar,
Yep.
which you can't see from here, but people come in and buy a bulb in the $50, $100, $500, $1,000, and then there's so many tickets, raffle tickets, that are allotted to each denomination, and they become a fixture on the mirror for the next 6 weeks till the middle of January. The prize is the raffle drawing on December 3rd. We come in and we have the bin, and we turn the bin, and we have all the executives coming over from the courthouse lighting, and I just found out Dave was going to be there this year. But we draw for the bronze, which Brad Williams donated this year, which is phenomenal. It's in the showcase over here. It represents a horse and a dog and his hat with the tribute being given to the flag of the United States on an oak tree, and it's here for showing right now. So if anybody wanted to see it, they should come by. But I can go on a little further if you want me to. But
Well, what I need to do, Tommy, is we've got a limited little time here. What I'd like to do is ask these guys, what else is happening during the Christmas season real quick? I know there's Akronite. Can we talk a little bit about that? Can we talk about some of the other stuff like the Gingerbread Village and things like that?
Sure, I'll tackle Akronite. Akronite is probably one of the most unique events anywhere. If you can picture 100 or more stores in a downtown area, each with their own live musical entertainment, that's what Akronite's all about.
That's incredible.
That's
absolutely incredible.
That's the second Friday of December each year. It goes from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock or 5:30 to 8:30, something like that. The Chamber's not directly involved, although a couple of our staff volunteer for Akronite, and it's quite the event.
And I understand that Santa Claus is actually going to be at the Holiday Court this year.
That's right. That's something we tried out last year. We kind of liked it. It's an ongoing, hopefully growing thing, but we, with some cooperation from the people at the Grand Highland Hotel and Margot from the Marriott's and the Downtown Partnership we've sponsored. We have Santa in the courtyard at the Marriott from 1 to 4, starting the 20th through the 23rd of December. And it's just it's a setup to where you can bring your kids, they can see Santa. There's they play Christmas music there. They have Mrs. Claus helping out. Santa's a stone character. This guy is fun. He'll run if he gets bored, he runs right out in the street and starts dragging people in. I mean, but it's a chance if you want to get your kid's picture taken with Santa. There it is. No, we're not selling anything, not trying to do anything except keep that holiday spirit going downtown. So we kind of had a gap after Akronite, so we wanted to have something to keep the holiday season rolling here in town.
Awesome.
Simple.
What else is going on with the downtown partnership involved?
Well, I would really like to plug the light parade just a little more.
Okay.
Okay. That's a totally local parade. We don't try, we're not trying to put on the Fiesta Bowl parade or anything like that, or the Electric Light Parade from Phoenix. These are people, families, businesses, schools.
So this is really local.
Really local.
Okay.
If you stand in line at the light parade, you're going to be able to wave at people you know, which is fun. And they're out there, they decorate their vehicles, they decorate their trailers, they decorate their dog. Well, we don't do dogs, but they decorate their kids. But everybody's at least somewhat lit. And last year we set a record in entries. We had 40 entries, which is about a third the size of the Christmas parade. So it's not very long, but again, it's fun. And we're always looking for people to join in. It's simple. If you look up the Downtown Partnership and go to our webpage, there's an application right there. It's cheap, and we give away more prizes than we probably should.
And of course, after the light parade, there is the bonfire over at Prescott Mile High Football Field. And there's also the reindeer races. We can't forget about the reindeer races. So everybody, they need to bring their kids down so they can race the lights on the reindeer. And Tommy, I just want one more thing from you. What kind of prizes do you have at that auction? There is some incredible stuff that you have at the auction, and I'd like you to talk about it a little bit.
Well, I like to think in advance to the people that do donate, and a lot of it is man cave stuff, from neon lights, to paintings, to artwork. A lot of this year, particularly, a lot of gift certificates from most of all the big businesses downtown. We kind of concentrated on them this year, since they are downtown, and get a lot of, we think, benefit from the lighting, as well as out-of-towners and grandmas and kids and everything else. But it's a variety of jewelry, antiques, paintings, neon signs, advertising.
And it's all funding the courthouse lighting.
In fact, we're the largest contributor as of right now. And I don't know, this year, the people that are listening, there's still time to donate. I don't know whether this show will be on in time for it or not. But it's a little different this year. The contributions are a little slower. I don't know why. But we need all the help we can get.
Prescott's a last-minute town. Anyway, guys, I've got to wrap this up. Let's have a great holiday season here in Prescott. Let's get that courthouse lighting going, and let's just have a ripping good time this year. Hi, I'm Steve Sischka, Prescott City Councilman. I'm here with Dave Maurer of the Prescott Chamber of Commerce. Dave, you recently announced plans to retire on December the 31st after 12 years as the CEO of the Prescott Chamber. So this is the last year you'll be doing the Christmas parade and the courthouse lighting, right?
That's right.
Oh
Unless I volunteer.
So are they among your proudest accomplishments?
They are. As I said on a previous segment, when I first came down here, the Chamber was not involved with the courthouse lighting. That very first year, Joe Brownlaw decided to step down. Pat Forrest at PDP at the time came to the Chamber and said, can we work together on this and salvage the courthouse lighting? Over time, then I learned about the history of the courthouse lighting, and I'm glad we put as much effort into it as we've done. It's a 62-year tradition now, as you know. It started, actually kind of funny, back in 1954, there was a Christmas Decorations Committee of the Chamber of Commerce that did the first courthouse lighting. The little book of history that we have on this doesn't say exactly what they did, but the following year, just to give you an idea, the west-facing wall, which we're looking at now, had season's greetings in neon lights above the door entrance. That was the only decoration. So the courthouse lighting has come a long way.
Oh my gosh, yes,
And
absolutely.
So it is definitely one of the things I will remember forever.
So one of your accomplishments is to really ramp up this whole courthouse lighting and to make it what it is today.
True, and we kind of went along thinking, what are we going to do? How are we going to top the previous year? But the first decision that was made to bring in a professional light decorating company was the right decision. And we get flack every once in a while for people saying, can't somebody local do it? Well, local people did it for many, many years. And they did a good job, but not to the level that we have today. You wouldn't want volunteers climbing trees to put lights 40 feet up in trees.
No,
and that type of thing.
It's a fabulous event right now, and you're doing it right. Let me say that. So what other accomplishments will you carry with you?
Quite a few, actually. A lot of them are events. The Bluegrass Festival, another good example of
Which is free right now.
It's free and will stay free because it's in downtown Prescott. But the group that many, many years ago had taken it over from the chamber grew old and tired and came back to the chamber and said, would you guys take it back? And we did. We pumped it up quite a bit. We were able to get some money from the city again. Not a lot, but a couple $1,000. And then state grants through the Commission on the Arts, which many years ago they had received. They let that go. We brought that back. So we've maintained or brought up a stronger base of financial support to make it work and bring in better bands.
So what are your hopes for Prescott future?
I hope Prescott continues to grow at the pace that it does grow. Nothing too quick, but we all need growth. And I think this is just one of those cities that it's hard to describe to people, and they say, why do people live here? Well, it's quality of life. What does that mean to people? It means parades and nighttime events and music on the square and all those things. And I hope Prescott continues that. I believe it will. We're going to make our future here. We're going to retire here. So I'll still be around. And I'll be watching.
Well, I certainly hope you'll be watching. And I'd like to take a moment to thank you for all the years of service. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. You know, you're a fellow Rotarian. I've always enjoyed your participation in Rotary and your counsel with Rotary about the Chamber of Commerce and about the city of Prescott. I can't underestimate how important the Chamber is to the local business community. Being a businessman here in town, I totally understand, and we've been a member of the Chamber for 36 years. So.
Well, I'll never forget one comment that you made to me. It was either the first time I met you or it was one of the first times I met you. You said, don't give up on the courthouse lighting or pay attention to the courthouse lighting. So hopefully I'm following what you directed me to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've done a heck of a job. And, you know, your support of existing businesses. And that's really where the Chamber is at. I mean, you're not an economic development engine. You are a support for us existing businesses. You've created an environment that helps attract new business because of your support for existing businesses.
And that's our goal. Our mission statement, not our exact mission statement, but the one I use most often is, our job is to make Prescott a good place to live, work, and play. And through things that we do, events that we run, political activities that we do with the City Council, for example, all those are important to the future of Prescott, and the Chamber will always be there doing those things.
Well, Dave, the time and energy you've invested in Prescott is absolutely incredible, and we can't thank you enough. And as a friend and as a fellow Rotarian, I also can't thank you enough.
Thanks, Steve.
Good luck, Dave.
Thank you.